Hey guys, Rich from Rich Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Welcome to this another Star Wars Shatterpoint video, rounding out this three-part series where we take a look at every single unit in the game and we rank them against their other unit types. And joining me to go through the primaries, as he has done with the secondaries and the support, is of course Mr. Quinn Duggan. Quinn, how the hell are you doing, sir?
I exist.
Quinn, primaries. They are obviously the first thing we have to pick. They are arguably the most important pick in the game because it kind of sets what you can take, really, doesn't it? It's a
they're also the most impactful pieces on the board, I find as well.
Typically, yes, yeah, absolutely.
And unless
absolutely.
It's like Luminara, then she does nothing.
Oh, this is where I think we're going to fall out mostly. But yeah, so let's talk about how primaries work, because obviously it's different to other games where a primary doesn't have a point allocation. They do have a point allocation, but they have a point allocation of other points they can bring with them, don't they? So it's kind of reverse, where you don't just get 20 points to spend on a squad, you get the points to spend based on the primary that you take. So it's not hard fast, but the general rule of thumb is the more points your primary brings, the less powerful they are in the game, is kind of how they were planning it to work.
Unit, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Now, as we'll go through, that's maybe not always the case, because there's one of them that costs the most and is pretty darn good. But what are you looking for, Quinn, in a primary unit, and how do you balance the fact that you bring two? Because we effectively get two leaderships, although we call them identities, don't we? But so again, different to other games that we've played.
So for me, the first thing I choose before I even choose like a primary is what I want my synergy to be based around. Effectively, what I want my faction to be, what I want my tags to be, right?
Yeah.
Then I will pick according to that. So if I don't have a lot of options in that area, my mind is pretty made up. But just in a general sense, you want someone who is survivable. Definitely, you don't want your primaries going down. You don't want their abilities costing more falls. That can definitely be rough. So it really does vary from primary to primary and list to list, but you want someone who can dish out a decent amount of damage. Like, in my mind, every primary should be able to consistently kill a support unit.
That's fair. Yeah, that is fair.
I'm talking clone level support unit as well, not like, your big beefy like 10 health Magna Guard, but they should be able to very reliably do 7 damage.
Yeah, and
if they can't do that, there are problems.
Yeah, and for me, I love the primaries that give you force refresh, that do things with force. I think for me that puts them up a tier.
It gives them a lot like something that impacts the game state in like a very meaningful way. I find is what I want. So like, force refresh is impactful to the game state, but not as impactful as other things. So, for example, I'd favour an Obi-Wan who gives out a board-wide passive buff over, say, a General Grievous who is a bit more selfish in what he does because he just recovers himself or people around him, and has the potential to get force back.
Because I was just going to say, because it feels like that they tend to be falling into one of 3 categories at the moment, don't they? The primaries. And jump in if you disagree, Quinn. But for me, you've got the self-contained, right? I'm going to do things and I'm going to do them well, and my identity is going to support what it is that I do. You've then got primary units that are, to your point, like your Obi-Wans, who are giving out buffs across the board, right? Irrespective of where they are and things like that. And then you've got your ones that are reacting to things. So you do a thing and you get to do this, or you get to do this. And I know some primaries have a mix and match of both, but
I'd say that most primaries have an overlap in at least 2 of those fields, but
yes,
I do agree with those categories, yeah.
Yeah. And it is nice when you do get that. And some of them can be really impactful, right? Like, look against, coming up against the Dooku list, for example. Like, I don't want to touch your primary or secondary units
Yeah.
until I've done
I
some
mean,
damage to your supports, because...
I imagine Phil will be watching this video, and all I have to say is, brave but foolish, my old Jedi
Brave
friend.
but foolish. Yeah, I mean, and for me, that's a really good identity when you have to think twice, even if you can take a character out or take a unit out, sorry, and wound them. You have to think 2 steps ahead about, okay, but if I do this, what does that actually do? Because there are so many times where either playing Dooku myself or coming up against him, you think by taking out a Kalani is going to score you that point, but you forget that then means that a Magna Guard can just walk up and be on that point as well, and all of a
My
sudden...
favourite is winning the struggle in my opponent's activation with that.
Oh, I love that one.
You get your struggle token just next to your momentum, and then you go, brave but foolish, Magna Guard stabs you, you die. Get a momentum, instantly win the struggle.
I had a game, and I think it was against Shadow Marvel in the pre-TTS league, where I won the struggle not only in the middle of his activation, in the middle of his combat action, because he was doing it with it was activating, I can't remember what it was, but a support unit, and I actually won the struggle in the middle of his combat action, because he'd
shot with one of them, you'd done the
with
reaction.
one of them, and then I did a reaction, got the momentum I needed, and won it. And he was like, well, what do we do now? I was like, we reset the board, and then you get to do your second thing. And he was like,
reset the board at that point.
Maybe we played it wrong then.
Through until the end of the turn, and then at that point, you go to the next struggle, which means that whilst your opponent gets to choose like the new map layout, you get the first activation in it, which is delightful.
He did. So we played that wrong then, actually. So we actually let him play his turn out. So as in, we reset it all, and then he played his turn out. Interesting.
No, it's just the criteria is met, the struggle is won, and then at the end of the turn, you do all of the struggle reset things.
Right. Good to know. Good to know. Anyway, Quinn, without further ado, let's jump over and let's take a look at our tier list. S through to D. And as we've done, Quinn, the sort of criteria for each has very much changed, hasn't it? Depending on whether the character is a secondary, a support, or indeed now a primary. So for me, Quinn, a primary unit is... Sorry, an S tier primary unit is going to be kind of the first choice. They are the backbone of their faction.
Yeah, they're what a faction is. They're the faction's bread and butter, right?
Yeah,
you just 90% of games you see with that faction will have this character.
But they also have to be an exceptional character as well, right? Because there are some characters who are the backbone, but are not necessarily exceptional, I would say.
I can't think who you're thinking of.
I can. He's got a bald head and a twirly lightsaber.
I wouldn't say he's the backbone of a faction, but sure.
Do you not think?
Well, I don't think he's really got a faction at the moment.
Got a faction, has he? But there we go. But yeah, exceptional character, or maybe Quinn is flexible enough and brings enough things with them where you can slip them into multiple factions, maybe even where they've got no synergy as well. Could be another defining factor. A is going to be very, very good, right? Very, very good character, or very, very good unit, sorry. Because they're all individual characters, aren't they? But yeah, exactly. Very, very good unit. Maybe doesn't need doesn't need a support or doesn't need a secondary to make them work. They kind of just work by themselves. B is going to be absolutely perfectly serviceable, no problems whatsoever. C is going to be, look, you can play them, but at the same point cost within a given faction, there are probably better options, or they are just lacking in a little bit of something. And then D tier is you're kind of falling into that right now. just not good enough.
I know
Really
where
needs.
somebody's going.
She's not.
She
She's
is.
not.
She is.
Maybe needs something else to make them work, right? For example, let's take the Inquisitors for example, right? Just need a little bit more adding to them. Ahsoka maybe needs a little bit more adding to her, but no more spoilers. Let's start things off with the OG primary. I see him as being the first primary of the game, Quinn, because
He's the first one we were shown.
it was the first one we were ever shown before we even knew anything about his cards. General Anakin Skywalker. Brings 7 squad points with him, brings 4 force with him, and is going to need every single bit of that force.
Yeah.
Most damage output, single most damage output of any character in the game within a single activation. Because of I'm going to end this. Force jump costing 1 is nice. He's got deflect, which is really good. 11 stamina, 3 durability.
One of the tankier models in the game.
Yes, yeah, 11-3 is really good. So combined 33 health, which is pretty darn good. And then this is where the fun begins, his identity. When a character in this unit wounds an enemy, primary unit or secondary unit, after the effect is resolved, move the struggle token 1 space toward your momentum tokens. Then, if the wounded unit is a primary, each allied galactic character may heal 1 or recover 1. And then 501st, Force User, Galactic Republic, Jedi. Look, as a opening character in a core box, he's pretty darn good, right?
Yeah, they've not made the MCP mistake, right? They've not made OG Steve. Like, this guy will play, like, probably until this game's death, I would imagine. Like,
well, I also think he's a very popular character as well.
Very popular character. Like, Steve is a popular character. He was a popular character when MCP came out.
That is true.
He wasn't really played until he got his update. I don't think this guy's ever going to need an update. I think he has one of the most impactful, like, sort of div identities in the game.
Well, it's the fact that he right now is the only way to
manipulate
move the struggle token outside of end of turn, right? So he's the only one that can do it, which can be really good. Which can be really, really good. I'm going to end this double tapping a character. They have changed the timing on it ever so slightly, so it's not quite as good as it was.
They've not changed the timing. They've more clarified the timing.
They clarify the timing of it.
Ambiguous.
Yeah. So, where this potentially falls down, Quinn, isn't it? Is that if your opponent has a movement within their expertise, their defensive expertise tree, they have the opportunity to do that first. So let's say a jump or a reposition or a dash, and if they end outside of range 2, and Anakin doesn't have a way, he doesn't have a way of being able to reconnect with him because he would use his expertise first, then you can't make the attack. So there's a way of getting out of it, but I mean, he's taking out any character in the game if he can double tap them, Quinn, right?
Most likely. I mean, I have had plenty of experiences where he's done absolutely nothing because for some reason Anakin on TTS does not like me.
And let's just talk about that because there is, there are other characters in this game that have a lot of impact without rolling dice.
Yes.
Anakin is very dice dependent, and he's an aggressive character. He's he's a damage dealer, right? That's what he does.
I mean, it's one of the main reasons I like him.
Of course,
I like killing things.
We both enjoy killing some things,
Yeah.
but I think that is worth saying that being dice dependent without having access to dice manipulation is always going to, at some point, if you play him enough, make you feel bad when you miss everything.
Yeah, like he's like, a number of characters across a number of games. He's got, high ceiling, low floor.
But low floor. Yeah, absolutely.
Which,
with all that said, Quinn,
can be an issue.
For me, he's not the backbone of the Galactic Republic.
There is someone else.
We spoke about this before about how you can be a secondary. For me, he's a secondary primary. You're not building around him.
You can build around him, mainly because the other guy that we're alluding to is not someone you build around. He's just there and
he just exists.
He just makes what you were taking anyway better.
Yeah, maybe,
Whereas
maybe.
Anakin, I think you can build around. You can get some get some secondaries in there that have tactics to move him around the board, sort of help him with his mobility issues, reduce that force cost, that sort of tax he's bringing.
Let's talk about his points actually, Quinn, because we have to take that into account, right? When we're looking at a primary unit, we have to look at, okay, he brings 7 squad points. What can he effectively buy with those 7 squad points? And it's fair to say that what he can buy with those 7 squad points has just gone through the goddamn roof with the release of ARF Troopers. Right? So for me, actually, the release of ARF Troopers bumps Anakin up because he's now got access to a second 3-cost
support Republic unit. He also, the release of that box also allows him to take Pons as a secondary, which then allows access to the 4-cost, even though you would rather take ARFs, in my opinion. It's a big boost, mainly because it just helps him with what he wants to do. They give out exposed, which means his attacks are less likely to flub, which means he's more likely to trigger where this is where the fun begins, do all of the good stuff that Anakin is meant to do.
Yeah, without spending that force, right? Yeah. Which is nicer for him. So, with all that said and done, Quinn, I'm going to let you go first on this, and I'm going to see where you think he sits compared to where I think he sits. Go on.
So I think you think I put him in S, but I don't.
No. I think you put him in A.
He's top of A. And currently, there's no one in A, so he's guaranteed top of A. But I think he will keep a position towards the top end of A. And A is for, and the children too.
I'm okay with him being in A. I think he's very good at what he does. I think he does, like you say, high ceiling, low floor.
Also, I would argue, relatively high skill cap. In terms of knowing when and where to apply him and what you're doing with him. Like, he's not the beat stick that you initially view him as, in my opinion.
No, absolutely not. No, he's a scalpel, not a hammer, right? And you need to know, and I think a big part of that comes in managing your force usage.
Managing your force usage, but also what secondary and primary units he wants to go after to trigger this. Like, ideally, with Anakin, you should be triggering his identity every time he activates.
That's what you want, absolutely. And don't underestimate that going after the primary units and that board-wide heal, right? That board-wide recover. Getting rid of conditions and everything else. I would say primarily conditions over damage, right? That's typically what you want to be looking at first if you do get a heal or recover. But yeah, really, really good. I'm fine with him being in A, Quinn. Absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. Let's talk about his counterpart in the core box, Ahsoka Tano, Jedi No More. She brings 8 squad points. She brings 3 force with her. She's obviously Ahsoka Tano, so she is not allowed to be in a squad, or even a strike team, alongside Padawan Ahsoka Tano because they share the same name. Quick look at her card. Ahsoka Tano, Jedi No More. She's got a 4-speed, which is a full advance for 1, which is fine.
It's one of the better mobility options. It's not sprint.
It is. For me, Quinn, what's really good about her is she is so goddamn difficult to take off the board. Right? Or just wound. What's the matter too fast for you? Effectively halving the amount of damage you take from a melee attack. And not only that, you slap it back onto your opponent.
Yep.
You rarely want to engage with this one, right? Like, because you ain't winning.
Yeah, it's a very expensive ability for what it is. 2 force is a lot for someone who's only bringing 3 with them. Yeah, you can kill an Ahsoka, but you are investing far more than she is likely worth.
Yeah. 9-3. So I think okay. 3 is the standard durability for most, not all, but most primary characters. 9 is at the lower end. I think it's probably the lowest, actually. I don't think we've got any lower than 9.
I don't think we've got an 8, have we?
No, I don't think so. We probably will do with some Imperial, commanders, you know, some generic, not generic, but you know, your Tarkins and whatever else. But
Plebs.
9-3's
Yeah.
9-3's fine. She's got deflect, which is nice because she's got something for range, something for melee. Fierce Protector. When an enemy character wounds another allied unit after the effect is resolved, one character in this unit may advance toward the enemy character that caused the effect. Then the character that moved may heal 3, or if that character is engaged with the enemy character, it may make a 5 dice attack targeting that enemy. For me, Quinn, this is one of the worst identities in the game. It's so situational. Like, first of all, you have to do the move to trigger anything else. That's the first thing. Obviously, if she's engaged, that advance drops to a dash. And if she's at the other side of the board, then she ain't getting there. Like, and
Heals herself, which isn't bad.
Yeah, or other people, you know, other people around her. But I think there are so many ways. Like, you just slap a pin on her.
Yeah.
Which is so easy to do with so many characters in this game. I just think it just falls flat. And one of the reason it falls flat is because of the then.
Yeah.
Like, and I think if they'd have made this a reposition, right, that would have been okay. But the fact that you have to move towards them, yeah, just not a fan of this at all. It's so easy to play around.
The other thing I'll say about it is it is the single identity in the game that is most strongly impacted by terrain.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And it is rough if, you know, that terrain is not doing what you want it to. If there's a lot of elevation, I think she struggles as a character. She's got no access to jumps just off of her natural, like, unit card. She's got some in her stances. Her stances are weird because you kind of want to keep her in Shien for that 7-6 defensive split with amazing expertise. But the issue that Ahsoka struggles from is that they've set her up to be, you know, really hard to kill, someone you don't want to attack because she's got really good defensive abilities. And then, you know, they've kind of tried to, like, counter that and try and make you want to attack her with that identity. But that identity doesn't have anywhere near enough impact for you to ever actively go, okay, I want to hit Ahsoka for any reason other than to shove her off a point.
Yeah, I completely agree.
You don't kill Ahsoka. You don't bother.
Yeah. For me, Quinn...
Yeah.
I mean, she's got the Galactic Republic tag. She's a Force user, which is... The Force user is probably a detriment to her than anything else.
Because it is currently only negative as a tag.
Because it only turns on other people. I also think there are not only other better primaries at the same cost in Galactic Republic, she means you can't play Padawan Ahsoka Tano, who for me is one of my favourite support units. You know, probably only second to Rex right now in Galactic Republic.
In Republic, yeah, I was about to say in the game.
Oh yeah, no, sorry,
really
in Galactic Republic. No, in Galactic Republic. So for me, Quinn, she's C tier.
She is C tier. I think she has the potential to rise up to a low B. I think some more melee-oriented clones would help her. For instance, like the Wolfpack.
Maybe.
Then someone who's more in the mix, she can rush to their aid if they get taken down. You know, get a free swing in. So, she's got some things that can work for her, but yeah, she is. Ugh.
She's a little lackluster, isn't she, to say the least?
A little lacking.
Okay, let's get on to the dark side of the core box, starting with a Sarge Ventress Sith Assassin. Also costs 8, brings 3 Force with her. I absolutely love this character, Quinn.
She is so good.
I mean, don't get me wrong. She wants to spend a lot of Force, okay? You know, potentially.
But she's worth it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, before wounds, 4 in a single activation, which is a lot of Force that you can spend. But the fact that she's one of only 2 characters in the game who can actually use an ability twice in Dathomiri and Dexterity, and yes, you have to pay for it twice, but because she can trigger it off her ability as well, it does mean that if you have already done the Force push, not off her ability, off her combat tree, there's still something you can do with that free attack. Sorry, the free action that you get as well, which is nice. She gets around the board everywhere. She has riposte, force push. I mean, let's just we spoke about on Barris, sorry, and that dragged her up from being like a D tier to a B tier, I think, or C tier. But force push is just so good.
Yeah,
she can get around the board. I have been on second and third rounds, Quinn. I've been on the furthest away point, moved, made an attack, and got to the other point and taken the other point that was furthest away with me with her. She has so much mobility. She refreshes force as well with Sith Assassin. So when a character in this unit wounds an enemy unit after the effect is resolved, it may triple heal. If it wounded a primary or secondary, it may also advance or jump. And then if it wounded a primary, you also refresh 2 force. So you take out a primary, Queen. We spoke about how good Anakin's was. You take out a primary, you refresh 3, you get to move, which is either a jump or an advance, which is the best combination, right? Because jump allows you to jump out of engagement.
Jump reposition is better, but sure.
You're right. Jump reposition is better, but it's pretty darn good. And then refresh 2 force. Like, it's so good. It's so good.
I think something that is very often criminally understated with Ventress is just how high her healing cap is. She has the second highest healing cap of any character in the game. However, she can do it for free.
Yep.
Luminara spends 2 force to heal everyone up to full. Ventress hits someone, kills them, even a support unit, doesn't matter who it is, and then can recover someone within 2 of her or herself for 7.
Yep.
Pretty damn good.
Pretty crazy. Only needing 4 results as well, Quinn, on that Form 2 Makashi.
Which is what you want to be attacking with her. More often than not, I find.
More often than not, yeah, more often than not. She does have a higher damage output on her Jarkai. Because 3 results gets you 6, which is really nice.
3 results gets 6 in Makashi, mate.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Gets you 2 shoves and a recover while you're at it.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Makashi's really good, but Jarkai is better defensively. That's where the sort of split between the stances is.
Yeah. But I mean, even that twin lightsabers, 1 for 2. We speak about how 1 for 1 is good. Like 1 for 2 is amazing on Form 2 Makashi.
3 for 2 less good though.
3 for, so it drops off, doesn't it? Right, that's the thing with that one. You feel aggrieved.
Low ceiling.
Yeah.
To bring back the terminology.
She's separatist and she's Dathomirian, which is obviously the 2 factions that she's part of. She also has Night Sister as well, which hasn't really come into play. We haven't seen that do anything yet.
Yeah, like we've seen Dathomirian do stuff, but not Night Sister. And I think at this point we probably won't.
No, I agree. Quinn, I went first last time. Oh, a 9-3. So the thing that lets her down is she is susceptible, right? Ranged attacks especially.
She bleeds and we can kill her.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, Quinn, rounding out the core box, we have got Lord Maul, or should I say Maul. Brings 8 squad points, brings 3 force with him, Quinn. But I tell you what, he's not using a goddamn drop of it. No. And that is what makes him so good.
That is the thing that makes him a really, really strong addition to any list.
Yeah. He especially when you look at, I mean, you spoke before, didn't you, about, I think we just did Diwana Wonga earlier, about how you can put Maul in a Galactic Republic list because you have so many characters, even outside of primaries, that want to use the Force.
Yeah.
And Maul brings it and doesn't use it. So, yeah, 11-2. 2 is a problem, okay? He's one of the easier characters to take off the board, but the man claps like an absolute truck. Let's go through his things, because he's got some unique things on there.
How often trucks clap?
I don't know, but I mean, I wouldn't want to get hit by one, would you?
He claps like a seal, he does.
It claps like a. So 4 speed, cost 1. Advance, it's nice. There's no place to run, cost 2. Chosen character in the unit and an enemy character within 3 of the character. Pull the chosen enemy 2 towards the chosen allied character. Then the chosen enemy gains expose. One of the few ways, or maybe the only way, that a character can apply expose themselves before making an attack. I'm trying to think if there is another. Cody can do it as well. Yes, yeah, he can.
And, I mean, obviously, sort of different criteria. But now, with the advent of Half Troopers and Night Sisters, every man and their dog can do it.
Every man and their dog can, but himself as a self-contained unit without needing access from anybody else. His brother can as well, but it costs.
Yeah, you typically don't want to be doing it that way around.
No, not at all. Not at all. So look, pulling them towards him, giving them an expose just ups his damage output, which is really, really good. Quite expensive. It costs 2, but we'll get onto that in a moment. Revenge. I must have revenge. If you wound him, he's going to clap you back. Again, it's situational. It has to be a melee attack. Yeah. And he does get to make a dash. However, if you have ways and means of getting out of his attack, typically changing elevation, Quinn, is the best way of doing it.
I find slapping a pin on him and just like sending him on
putting
his
a pin,
some shoves.
Yeah, putting a pin, a couple of shoves.
Depending on where you're engaging him, I think even in base to base, triple shove will just mean he can't hit you.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that there's some really interesting things here. So if you can lose the game by wounding Maul, because even if you wound him, he slaps you back and he'll get the momentum, even though it's your turn. So it's quite nice. And then there's some weird ones where I think if Maul has already got 2 injured tokens on him and you hit him again, he can still clap you back and essentially get a 3rd wounded token on him, which is why they say X, or like, so you can exceed the amount of stamina and durability that you've got. And he's the only example at the moment where it really kicks in.
I mean, I know exactly the example you're talking about because I was playing them all in the game where this actually was discovered. Because he went and killed Vader, and then Vader killed him back when he was on his last hurrah. It is a weird one. Not sure I super like it. It just feels a bit like that shouldn't happen, but sure. Yeah. It's a nice ability. You'd rather have it than not, right?
Absolutely. But then let's get to his identity, and you talk about self-contained identities, Quinn. This guy doesn't care who he is with. Sustained by rage. While this unit is not wounded, when it would spend force to use an ability, it may suffer damage equal to the cost of the ability instead. Now this does tier up, so if he's got a injured token, so he's now no longer wounded, he's got an injured token, and you would spend 1 force for 4 speed, and then +1 for the injured token, you need to take 2 damage to be able to do 4 speed. There's no place to run, becomes 3 damage, etc., etc. But you can take damage to the total amount, not just the amount posted on the card, can't you? Which is nice.
It's probably important to mention. I don't think you can mix and match force and damage, right?
No, because it says it may suffer
instead, not
like. Yeah, it's not as well as. Yeah, absolutely. You could do a 4 speed and spend the force, and then do no place to run. That's fine.
Taking damage.
But yeah, you can't mix and match within a single thing. For every 3 damage this unit has, characters in this unit add 1 die to their melee attack rolls. For each injured token this unit has, characters in this unit add 3 dice to their melee attack rolls. I think, Quinn, I mean, there is actually no real max on what you can do because, this, as I say, you apply all damage even if it takes you over.
Think the most he can go over his damage threshold is, I want to say, 12.
Yeah, so
And
potentially he's on 23 damage.
yeah, because he is obviously on 10 health, because he's not dead yet. Then Grievous hits him, getting it in quad arm, getting his full 11 damage result with his 2 extra damage off the expertise
Yeah.
for a grand total of 13. 1 carries him over to down, and then 12 goes over the limit. That 12 damage is put on him.
Yes, it is.
You don't just get to 11 and stop. You put all of it on him, which is very important for Maul.
Oh, absolutely. Because when we get to revenge, I must have revenge. Sustained by rage works on that 5 dice attack, so it scales up based on how many damage you've got. So it's why it's important that you apply all the damage, and not just the 11 that you need to kill him or to wound him, whatever it may be. But you can stop, so the opponent can stop.
Yeah.
But if they forget, then yeah. His Dathomirian is a force user, he's a scoundrel, he's Shadow Collective. I absolutely love this guy, Quinn. You can put him in any list and he's going to do work for you. The fact he brings 8 squad points as well is nice because it means that he's got a couple of different things that he can take. You can put sort of Rex and some commandos with him. You can put Gar Saxon and some Mandalorians with him. He really, really does not care who he's going with, does he?
He has no synergies with anyone, and therefore, he's a lone wolf.
Yeah, he really is. He really is. For me, Quinn, right now, I would put him at the... It's your turn to go first. I know in my head where I want him.
No, it's your turn to go first.
Didn't I do a
I'm on
Sarge?
your evens.
Oh, yeah. So for me, he is top end of A, bottom end of S.
Okay. So, I'm going to say some things here.
Okay.
They are all truthful and correct, because all I spit is the truth. So, I think that I would have agreed with your statement probably to, wave one. Wave one, he's easily S tier. Wave two, he starts to slip. Wave three, I think he starts to sort of tread water. And the reason why is I think as we get more releases in the game, obviously, there are more primaries available for each given faction, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And as good as Maul is, and as utilitarian as he is in terms of you can go anywhere, I find that the more releases there are, the more you can fine tune your list and its force expenditure to the point where Maul's ability to provide effectively tax-free force, because he's not doing anything for himself, becomes less and less impactful compared to the potential synergies that you are losing out on from other primaries that are actually sort of, keyed into the faction you want to play. And because of that, and what I think will end up being a depreciating value over time, he's still good. He will probably get a boost when we get some more Shadow Collective stuff.
Yeah.
But I think at the moment, with what the trend seems to be, probably slips down to that A tier, settles nicely into an A. Probably, part of me wants to say after Asajj, part of me wants to say before. I'm okay with either. They do feel very, similar to one another. And I do think it's also important to factor in he's one of the few primaries in the game at the moment with a ranged attack.
Yes, he does. Let's have a quick look actually at his cards then, because he's got 2 options, hasn't he? Dark Rage, which is, if you want to murder somebody with a lightsaber, choose Dark Rage. We're not going to go through his card in loads of detail. But then he does have access to Sinister Cunning. It is 7 dice. He's got the Throne lightsaber. it's important to note, Quinn, that his identity doesn't work
No, it's
on
only
that
melee
ranged attack,
attacks.
though.
Yeah.
It doesn't work on that ranged attack. So yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think, I probably would err on the side of just slipping him beneath Asajj because I think Asajj is the better of the two in a Dathomirian list. And I think that therefore bumps her up over him. But I'm okay with him being, like,
I think right now, I think we could see his stock go up a little bit, Quinn, when the bounty hunters come out. Because I think they're going to be quite... I think they're going to be quite force heavy. I think they're going to have a lot of tricks up their sleeve, and I think they're going to need access to a lot of that force. Again, pure speculation. Let's go on with one characters now, starting with General Obi-Wan Kenobi. Brings 8 squad points, brings 3 force with him. He's got a whole bunch of stuff on his card. For me, Quinn, there's 2. Actually, no, there's... Do you know what? Every single one of the abilities on his card is amazing. So I was going to go, this one's... No, it's this one. No, it's this one. Yeah, so let's go through all 4. Hello there.
Hiya.
Cost 1. You do a jump. You get 3 nice to your attack roll during this activation.
Yeah. I mean, most people pay the force just for a jump.
Yeah, I mean... yeah, fine. So Uncivilized. Cost 1. So whereas... other deflects don't cost anything, but he does get a little bit more.
It's also a prepaid deflect, which is important.
It is, yes, it really is. So you spend 1, you get a hunker, and then if they rolled 1 or more failure results, they take 3 damage, which is 1 damage more than a normal deflect.
You're getting a hunker,
you have to pay for it up front,
which is very synergistic with his knowledge of defense identity, and you're getting 1 extra damage. But the downside is it costs 1 straight off the bat, and it's preemptive. But, you're getting more defense dice, which is actually really impactful with them, I think. Yeah,
or it triggers the cover as well. So that could actually be 1 for 2, with if you've got cover. For me, of all of the 4 text bits on his card, 4 abilities, this is the weakest. But it's by no means bad.
Yeah, it's the one you use least often, but part of that is because, people aren't typically shooting primaries.
Look, when I'm getting to Obi-Wan, I've generally got 1 force left for hello there. That's why.
I mean, that's just because you have poor planning.
This is true. Patience. When you reveal this unit's order card, if you have an order card in reserve, you may put that card on the top or bottom of your order deck. If you do, put this unit's order card in reserve. When this unit's order card is put in reserve, 1 character in this unit may heal 3 and jump. It should say then jump.
I mean, if AMG actually spoke English and not whatever the fuck this is, yeah.
But it should be then jump. We know that that's the clarification. And it costs nothing as well, Quinn. If you have a card in reserve and you want to put him in reserve, you do not pay the 1 force to put him in reserve.
Yeah,
if there isn't a card in reserve, you still pay the power. Yeah.
But I find that typically in a list with Obi-Wan, in the first round, you're only ever paying 1 force for a reserve because you are putting that character in reserve and going, you're staying there until Obi-Wan shows up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Being able to do that jump, even 9 times out of 10 on turn 1, you ain't getting the heal to do anything. But just the jump alone, moving him up the board is absolutely amazing. And then knowledge and defense, Quinn, the thing that ties the whole Galactic Republic together. Allied units do not lose their hunker tokens when they become engaged and can gain and have hunker tokens while they are engaged. I mean, this alone is amazing, but it goes on. While an Allied Galactic Republic unit has 1 or more hunker tokens, it adds 1 die to its defense rolls against melee attacks. That's pretty good. After an attack targeting a character in Allied Galactic Republic unit is resolved, the character's unit may remove all its hunker tokens. If it does, 1 character in that unit, it does not have to be the character that was attacked, may heal for each hunker token removed. Then each character that healed may dash.
Probably the best identity in the game. Full stop.
It's two, maybe 2.5 identities stroke innate abilities that are all very good.
I'd say it's an
rolled
identity
into
and a half.
one.
It's an identity and a half, and the half that I feel should be removed to make it just an identity is the keeping hunkers whilst engaged shouldn't be an Obi-Wan thing. It should be a clone thing.
Do you think that should be what Brothers in Arms is? Something like that?
I think Brothers in Arms should give steadfast and don't lose hunkers. And I think that's fine.
I think it should only give the one.
I think you can get away with both. Like, Republic lists at the moment are playing with both anyway.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
And
yeah, because you're playing Obi-Wan.
If you're not taking Obi-Wan, but you're still getting those hunkers in melee, one, you're not getting extra dice, because that's the thing that Obi-Wan would give you. And two, you aren't removing those hunkers to then, like, recover and do a dash back onto a point you've just been shoved off of.
Yeah.
And I think that feels fine. It still very much makes it so Obi-Wan is worth bringing. Like, by no means does it make him, like, probably doesn't even bump him down a tier, but it just sort of spreads that out a little bit so it feels a little bit less like, you know, all the Republic's eggs are in the Obi-Wan basket, so to speak.
Yeah, because they very much are, aren't they, at the moment?
Yeah, like, I would not run a Republic list without Obi-Wan.
Let's just, like, cut on that. He's S tier.
He's S tier. Also, you are almost always only keeping him in Atari stance.
Yeah, that is fair. There are some niche situations.
Heals, like, you know,
if you want the heals, like, you know, heals and a reposition and whatever else. But
like, there's some nice stuff in Sorasu. My big gripe with his stances is that I think Sorasu should be the one that has better defensive expertise.
Yeah, I know, it's just daft, isn't it?
Like,
absolutely
if that was the way round it was, then I think, like, he actually becomes a lot more reasonable as a character.
Yeah, it's that all the good stuff's on Ataru.
All the good stuff's on Ataru.
With the exception of the heals, but yeah, unbelievable, like, absolutely amazing character.
Yeah.
And yeah, just very, very good. Count Dooku, Separatist leader, 7 squad points. He brings 4 force with him. Let's have a quick look at his card, Quinn. He has a tactic, so he was the first primary in the game that brought a tactic with him. Leader of the Separatist army. At the start of this unit's activation, choose another allied Separatist Alliance character, so not a unit, but a character within 3. Each character in this unit and the chosen character may dash. So typically it's going to be somebody in his squad, not always, but more often than not. You know, your secondary, depending on who you're taking. I quite like it on a Django. Get Django up a little bit there.
My favourite is using this on a Magna Guard.
Oh yeah, and then moving the Magna Guard again. Yeah. But yeah, really, really nice. Surely you can do better. When a character in this unit is targeted with an attack, this unit may spend 1 to 3 power, force even. It is not when they are targeted. It is when you would modify dice.
Yeah, it's after dice have been rolled. So that is something that has been errated. It
has been errated.
It was decent before the errata. The errata actually happened before the game officially released.
It did, yeah.
And yeah,
it made it a lot better.
A lot better.
Yeah, so basically, while modifying the attack roll, you get to change 1 strike to a fail for each force spent. But because of the change, you get all the information before you need to make that call. So you're only ever spending what you need to spend, but it is a maximum of 3. If you're wounded or injured, it goes up by 1, but it doesn't go up by 1 for each one you do. So you pay your tax first, and then your 1 to 3 basically on top.
So effectively, 1 injured token on him makes it so the force spend range for this ability is 2 to 4 rather than 1 to 3.
Yeah, and then 3 to 5 and so on and so forth. Twice the pride, double the fall, cost 1. After a melee attack targeting an allied character within 2 is resolved, this unit may use this ability. If the attack roll contained no strike results, 1 character in this unit may dash and then may make a 5 dice attack targeting the attacking character. Now,
there is something very important to note here with regard to no strike results.
Yeah.
And that is the fact that blocks remove them.
So you actually remove them from your results. You don't just block them. So you don't just need to whiff on your strikes. For every strike that is blocked, that is a strike that is removed from the dice pool, basically. So you can get 5 crits through and 5 strikes, but if they block the 5 strikes, there is no strikes left, and Dooku gets to do this. Obviously, synergizes really well, Quinn, with Surely You Can Do Better, because he can spend the force to remove the strikes over and above what he's done.
Smart people don't punch Dooku.
No, don't punch Dooku. Shoot Dooku, don't punch Dooku.
Even shooting Dooku is kind of a waste of waste of breath, really.
And then lastly, Quinn, I'm not sure if you've got an expose on him. Lastly, Quinn, brave but foolish. Once per turn, when an allied primary or secondary unit is wounded by an enemy effect, after the effect is resolved, refresh 2 force. Then choose an allied separatist alliance supporting unit. 1 character in the chosen unit may dash or make a 5 dice attack. That last part is very nice, but it's as the force said, refresh.
You know, you can win a struggle in your opponent's turn with that sort of thing. But yeah, refreshing 2 force, whilst bringing 4 himself and against a savvy opponent, probably not really spending any, because he's not having to use Surely You Can Do Better or Twice the Pride. Separatists lists just don't care about force. They have as much as they want all the time.
Absolutely. He's Force user, he's Separatist Alliance, and he's, of course, Sith, and he is 10-3. So actually, I think the least durable, when we look at pure stats, of all of these 7+ users, I believe.
Definitely, yeah. Like he's not
combined 30.
Durability is a weird thing to assess, right? Because he has a lot of defensive tech around him.
He does, yeah. But
so,
in pure
numbers of damage, the amount of damage needed to kill a Dooku is less than the amount of damage for a Mason, Anakin, or a Vader.
Yeah. We mentioned how Maul has access to a range attack, as does Dooku as well.
Both stances.
In both stances. So Form 2 Makashi, Quinn, that's very much his upfront, up close and personal melee one.
His much better defensive side.
Oh god, yeah. If he's engaged, absolutely.
Like crits to fails is big.
Oh, Quinn, just 1 result for 2 crits on his lightsaber as well. Like,
oh yeah.
It's real good. 7/7 as well is not to be sniffed at in melee. And then he's got his Force Mastery, which is where, if you're doing ranged attacks, this is really where it comes in.
This is the stance that you start the game in with Dooku, because there's potential that he moves up as an early activation, doesn't get into melee with anyone, but can maybe shoot some lightning at someone. And then immediately flips into Makashi, spends the rest of the game in it.
For the most part, yeah, absolutely. For me, Quinn, he is a very, very strong primary in the game. It's your turn to go first, actually. Or is it? No, it's my turn. Is it my turn? Am I evens? I'm evens, aren't I?
You jumped the gun and just put everyone straight into S, which I didn't argue with. So yeah, it is technically your go.
So I really, really like Dooku. Really like him.
I feel like you're going to come to the same conclusion as I am.
However, yes, with the release of Savage Press, he's got a little bit more access to other secondaries. He is limited by what he can take right now in the SEPs because of the fact that he can't have Kalani and the B2s and run Dooku. Right now, I believe that is not possible to do in the game.
You can, you just can't have Kraken.
You can't have Kraken as well.
You can take Pons with him to get B2s.
Yeah, which...
You're not doing, but you not doing.
You're not doing. Whilst I think he's good, For me, he's B tier.
Ooh, that is a bit too far of a fall for Grace and me. I thought you were going to be like, he would be S, but because he's reactive and you need people to hit him, he goes down into A. I was not expecting B, and I am going to fight that.
No, well, let me... And you know how much Dooku I've played, right? And I really, really like Dooku. I just think people have figured him out a little bit. I think people have realised, right, you don't focus down his primary and secondary units. You almost treat him a little bit like a big hitter in MCP in some ways, where you can just push him to one side and ignore him. And he's my most played character in the game. And I love him, and I will be playing him this weekend probably. By the way, that means you can use a Padawan Ahsoka.
Is this just because I showed you the power of Grievous the other day?
No, I just...
Definitely is. Yeah. So, I'm definitely fighting the B. The B. Like, B isn't happening. It's just not. Where I think he fits is either side of Anakin. And the reasoning behind that is, one, he is, he's a 7. 7s are very valuable. Also, as a 7 in, like, the Separatist faction, that's really good. Because they've got Django, who is an amazing 4-cost secondary, one of the best in the game. Doesn't rely a great deal on synergy, but still one of the best, and does synergize with Dooku in terms of leading Separatist alliance. Yep. They also have access to Magna Guard and B1s, who hold, the second and third spot in terms of the 4 3-cost supports. With a load of synergy coming off the back of having Kalani and tactical networks and all that sort of thing. Dooku will sit on a point, and he will just keep it there, unless your opponent is committing more bodies than they should be to that point. Because
just one body if you're the brother.
I mean,
I know.
Let's be honest. Dooku turns around and rips him in half.
By the way, I'm jesting you. Dooku's there.
Yeah. B, what you on about?
I knew you thought I was going to say S, so I went the other way. No, Dooku is a high A. He was S tier. He was absolutely S tier.
He was S tier until we figured out you just don't hit him.
You just don't hit him. Just don't hit him. But yeah, he is top end of A tier. He murders stuff real good, and anyone that can win the game in your opponent's activation is very, very good.
Just for the look on your opponent's face if they've never had that happen to them before.
Yeah.
I remember when we first discovered that was a thing you could do. It was in a game against Phil, and I did it to him twice.
Yeah,
and
bless his
from that day onwards, whenever I play that brave but foolish soundbite, that dog from the GIF that has PTSD with the cupcakes. That's what I imagine just Phil's face becomes.
Okay, Jedi Master Luminara Unduli. She is 8, so she brings 8 squad points with her, and she brings 3 force. Let's take a quick look at her card. Full recovery, cost 2. Choose an allied unit within 3. The chosen unit removes all damage and conditions from itself. It can be herself, because she is within 3 and she is allied to herself. It's expensive, Quinn, isn't it?
It's very expensive, and I find that it is rare that a character is left low enough for this to be valuable without having been killed.
I'll tell you one of my problems with this is, unlike most, not all, but unlike most other 2 force cost abilities in the game, most characters have a way of being able to trigger them for free at some point down their combat tree. And she doesn't. And I was thinking about this the other day. If she just had that...
If she had an active ability on her combat tree, I would genuinely like her as a character.
Oh, I think utterly amazing. But
the other thing
that
I think you could do... Go on.
It surprises me that it isn't. Like, why is it not? Why?
I think they were worried about making her too good as an individual character with how good her identity is. But in doing so, have made her subpar overall as a character,
Yeah,
in my opinion. The other thing that I wouldn't mind for Force Recovery is if they reduce the range to 2 and reduce the cost to 1.
yeah, that would
Because then
be
she does need
okay.
to get up there into the thick of it. I think also it could have been like one of I think the first example of an ability that costs an action to do.
Yeah, so it's free.
Yeah.
So it was free. For the first,
Free
like,
or a force. Just
yeah, but it's an
wh-
action.
yeah. If you made it action, if it was a reactive, 1 force, when this character takes a recover action, it may use this ability. Instead of removing 1 damage or a condition from an allied character within range 2, remove all damage and conditions.
Yeah, I still don't mind it as a 2 cost, as
I've
it
never
is.
seen it used.
But I think she should have a way of being able to trigger it off a combat tree.
Genuinely never seen it used, which
Yeah.
is weird.
Let's talk about her other downfall. Well, actually, there's 2 others, but let's talk about her first one, which is sprint. Like, it's terrible.
It's the worst mobility.
It's the worst mobility in the game. Like, this should be free, if that's what it is. You know, at the very least, Quinn, it should be a jump, right? If it was 1
jump,
for a jump,
fine.
like,
That's standard. That's what Anakin has. Ventress, like they all have that. Her mobility is so bad. Yes, she has a reposition on like 1 in Form 2 Mikashi, but that requires her to actually have been fast enough to get into melee with someone.
yeah.
Which is very rare on the first round.
Do you know what I'd have liked? Right, again, just and it plays into the fact that, you know, she is in touch with the sort of life side of the Force, right? That's kind of what they're going for with this. Cost 1, you jump, and you get to recover 2. Like, that would have felt really nice, being
That
able
would
to
have been
get
really, really strong. Like would have would have been similar to a hello there, right?
yeah, but
Like
kind
an
of the other way
inverse hello
around.
there.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because you don't just want to give her more dice, right? Because that's not what she's about. But just something a little bit different where, you know, but 1 for the for me, this is worse than the full recovery. Like, at least you don't have to do that. Like, you have to spend the 1 on her to get her up there.
Like it's a little bit insulting, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. Reactability, precise strike. I quite like this one. So
You always get it the wrong way round, though.
I know. After this unit makes a combat action, it may use this ability. Choose an allied Galactic Republic supporting unit within 3 of a character in this unit. If the chosen unit's order card is in the order deck, that means that it's not in the discard pile or is not in reserve, each character in that unit may dash. And by the way, you choose 1 character, a little bit like what we said earlier on. I can't remember which video it was, but another video. Only 1 character has to be within 3. The other character still gets to dash because it's the whole unit. If the chosen unit's order card is not in the order deck, so essentially in the discard or the reserve pile, 1 character in the chosen unit may make a 5 dice attack. But it's a 5 dice attack into anybody, which is quite nice. Like, it's better than what you thought. I think, Quinn, if you would have fixed, I think sprint needs fixing, right? That is a shambles. If you'd have either made full recovery, done one of the 2 things we said with full recovery, right? Just give it a little bit of something extra, or take a little bit off and make it cost 1, or make it cost an action, something like that. Or you made precise strike a 0 cost reactive. I think we're getting to the realms of her being absolutely fine as a card. I'm not saying Bo.
Into the realms of her being absolutely, but I think
no,
Quinn,
Quinn, to clarify, I'm not saying both. I'm saying either or. We don't change both of them.
Okay.
I'm saying that we change. You know, you change one of them. then I think she's getting into the realms. Oh, you change both, she goes up to like A tier if you change both.
Potentially S if you change both, but at the moment, I think if you change one of them, she probably fits into that B category, which is where you want characters to be, right?
Yeah.
But
let's get on to my final gripe, Quinn, because this really annoys me. The Flow of the Force, is an amazing identity if they changed it round. Because all you do is single focus an enemy, and then the heals mean nothing. What we're talking about? Well, once per turn, when an enemy unit becomes wounded, after the effect is resolved, one allied character may dash. That's fine. I don't mind that. But it's the other one that really annoys me. When an enemy character wounds an allied unit, after the effect is resolved, a character in another allied unit may triple heal. If you've done no other damage to no other unit,
it's worthless.
It means nothing. Like, I'd have much preferred this, Quinn, to be the other way around.
If it's the other way around, right, make that the other way around. Do the thing to precise strike. Do the thing to full recovery. Any one of those three things.
Yeah,
and
just one of them.
Like her. I genuinely like her at that point. And I think it also plays into how I personally tend to play games and how I think you do to a degree as well. We are slightly different in playstyle, but we like killing things.
We do like murdering things, yeah.
I, like, in any game I have played, I always like elite things and I like buffing. I like big stompy monsters that kill things. And because of that, my playstyle in most games revolves around focus firing.
Yeah.
Focus fire things, I bring them down. You know, I don't like spread things out here, there, and everywhere. I just go, no, that tree needs felling. It's going to come down. I don't whack each tree in the forest with an axe once. You know, like, and I think because of that, that recovery portion of Flow of the Force really, really falls down. Like
it really does.
That ability will probably heal at most 3 damage against me in a game.
Yeah, or might take off some conditions, so when you bring that character back...
It tends to do against me, because I'll kill a character, they'll have a couple conditions on them, and the person next to them will get those conditions off them. But that is not the kind of impact you want this sort of identity to have. It's just not.
Absolutely not at all. I think flip those around good. And then the thing I do really like, Quinn, you may look at the top card of your order deck before revealing an order card or choosing to activate a unit from reserve. For me, I really like this synergy with Obi-Wan.
It's really nice.
Because you just have so much control over your deck and what you do. You know, like, you could know a couple of cards, like what's coming and what you need to do and everything else. Especially when you combine it with, okay, I've looked, it's this character, Obi-Wan's already in reserve. Do I take Obi-Wan or do I bring somebody else up? Or actually, that is now Obi-Wan, so I can now pull Obi-Wan, put Obi-Wan in reserve, take this other character, put them down to the bottom of the deck. Like, it gives you a little bit of foresight.
It gives you a lot of, like, deck stacking potential.
Yeah.
I think this is the best part of Flow of the Force.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Also, interesting little thing that I saw on the forums today while searching for something different relating to Talzin. That's not open information.
No, you don't have to tell people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell people. Like, in the medium of TTS, it's a bit more difficult.
It's very, very difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult. But
in real life, you just go, oh, look at that, and then you put it straight back down, and your opponent's none the wiser. And I think that could be a key factor in, like, making her rules a bit better.
I do like the idea of doing the whole... Oh,
what, you mean doing your coup poker face?
Yeah, and then putting them back. Hey, you thought I was shocking at that game.
Whoa.
You and Jonah.
I didn't. Everyone else around me
Jonah did. Yeah, it was Jonah in particular.
Was, like, completely sold on the fact that you were just an idiot. And I can see why.
Yeah, I've played a lot of poker. Quinn, she needs some tweaks. I am
just a single tweak. That's all she needs.
I am not denying that. but I do not believe she is completely broken. I believe you can play her. I've played her more. I've played her more than you have.
Oh, yeah.
There are better options, especially
I don't associate with trash.
especially in the Galactic Republic, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
have
like
three
if she
other
was
primaries.
Dathomirian, maybe.
You have four other primaries because of Vader you could choose from. So she is the worst of them.
Four of them.
Actually,
Not five.
five Ahsoka's in there as well.
Ahsoka's part of it as well.
Dearie me, I always forget about Ahsoka. But I think she is one thing away. For me, the thing I would like to see more than anything, make full recovery available in her tree, swap out Flow of the Force and change them around. And I think she'd be perfectly fine. Or Precise Strike or Spring. But just do one or two of them with a tiny little tweak and she's going to be absolutely amazing. I still enjoy playing with a Quinn. I'm not going to lie. You know this. I still really enjoy it. But yeah, just because you enjoy something doesn't mean they're good.
Yeah, you can flog a dead horse as much as you like. It's not going to come back to life.
Absolutely.
So, also, I agree with where you placed it in the C tier as well. And the reason why, for me, is that Ahsoka can be made Ahsoka can be made better by more releases, right? Get some melee clones in there, just some more melee supports. Luminara needs a tweak, and therefore that is a lot less likely to happen because of the way AMG operates in their design philosophy and their update philosophy. Yep. So, just because of how much less likely that is, she has to go lower because she's got a smaller scope for improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. Grand Inquisitor Fallen Jedi brings 8 squad points, brings 3 force points, or brings 3 force. Hello. Grand Inquisitor primary unit is multi-era Quinn, and we'll have a little
tri-era, in fact, not dual era, tri-era.
Are we sure?
Well, yeah, because he goes from Fall of the Jedi to Age of Rebellion, which has Reign of the Empire in the middle.
No, but in terms of where he sits in the game, he's only in 2.
At the moment, because there's no Reign of the Empire units.
No, but they have actually released the we know the symbols for it, and he doesn't have it.
No, he doesn't need it because Reign of the Empire is between the 2 symbols he has. It's like bookends. It bookends where you can go.
Oh, is that how they do? Right, okay.
Yeah. It was
so
really
Grand Inquisitor
when they first showed the thing, but they did sort of specify.
Grand Inquisitor Fallen Jedi. Start off with his tactic, Quinn. You know who you are. At the start of this unit's activation, choose an allied Inquisitorious secondary or an allied Inquisitorious supporting character. Only a single character. One character in this unit, and the chosen character may dash. Everyone that's Inquisitorious is a single character unit anyway, at least right now. I like this Quinn. It's better than... it's better than Dooku's when you look at what it does and how it does it.
Yes,
it's lesser in the fact that you've got fewer options in terms of who you can do it with. Yeah. Because there's no range, that makes it quite nice.
Yeah, they're probably, you could probably equate them with each other. I don't think one's necessarily better than the other just because they have pros and cons, right?
Yeah, exactly. Secrets Uncovered, cost 2. Choose an active objective within 5 that is controlled by an opposing player. Remove the opposing player's control token from the chosen objective.
I struggle to think of a worse active ability in the game.
How does it cost 2?
It feels like it's the opposite of what the other members of the Inquisition are about. It's like, oh yeah, make a thing inactive, but the Inquisitors break ties anyway. Yeah. So you're not making it inactive to then have it go and just be a tie because you've both got one character on it. Because you should be winning that anyway because of how Inquisitorial Mandate works.
The only way is let's say it's him that's on there, or it's Reva that's on there, or it's Vader that's on there.
I mean, if Reva's on there, you've got a problem.
Well, yeah.
The problem is she's on the fucking board.
It's very, very niche. Tempo records are quite complete. Cost 1, it's reactive. When a character in this unit is targeted with a melee attack by an enemy force user character, this unit may use this ability. This unit may flip its stance card, and the defender adds 2 dice to the defense roll. Only instance right now in a game where you can flip your stance card outside of your own activation. And it can be okay, Quinn.
You also don't have to flip it, which is important.
That is true. That is true. You can stay in the stance you are in and just get the extra dice, which I'm not sure if 1 force for 2 dice is really worth it because of the way
if you really need him to live, then I think it's worthwhile. My favourite thing about this is that the temple has no records on Grievous.
No, I know. Yeah. Well, because he's not a force user, so therefore no. And then lastly, his identity, Quinn. Clearly, you were a poor student. When an allied Inquisitorious character wounds an enemy unit after the effect is resolved, one Inquisitorious allied character may heal. Then, if the wounded unit was a force user, refresh 2. Refresh 2 force, obviously. This is fine. They're going to struggle against Ewoks. Because those little furballs are there. But, I mean, it very much depends who you're coming up against, doesn't it, with these ones? Yeah. Which you would expect from the Inquisitors, right? They are hunting Jedi. That's what they do. So, yeah, he's a Force user, Galactic Empire, Inquisitorious. Obviously, Galactic Empire doesn't really come into anything right now. We'll have big things.
We'll have loads of releases down the line.
Like, absolutely huge. 9-3. So, again, a little bit on the, easier side to kill. Or to wound.
He's got decent defensive expertise on one of his stances, and his identity does let him heal, potentially.
His identity does let him heal, yeah. So, Form 5 Gem Sir, he's 4-6-6-6. But that adaptive fighter is very, very good. 1 expertise for a block and a crit to a strike. And then if you get 3, it's a crit to a strike to a fail. He actually does 2 crits to fails, Quinn, and a jump on the 4+, which is
better than
nice.
Dooku.
That is better than Dooku. Yeah, that is. And this guy's not better than Dooku. Reposition off 2 as well is not to be sniffed at, Quinn, on his Form 5. Yeah. And he gets his free active ability. Yay!
Yeah.
For me, Quinn, right now. In fact, it's your turn first, isn't it? Go on.
He is C tier, probably below Ahsoka, above Luminara. He doesn't need a buff, he just needs releases, but I think his releases are less likely than Ahsoka's. Right. I
think his releases are far more likely than Ahsoka's. We already know packs that are coming out. There have been more released packs. There's been more revealed packs that will benefit him than there have been for Ahsoka.
I'm referring to Inquisitorious, not Galactic Empire.
Oh.
I don't think Galactic Empire does a great deal for him. He's an Inquisitorious character that happens to be Galactic Empire. Everything on his, nothing on his card refers to Galactic Empire apart from the tag that he has. There will be Galactic Empire stuff that affects other Galactic Empire. However, more Inquisitorious stuff, as much as I would love a Fallen Order pack with Triller, Masana Tide, and Purge Troopers, I really want that. I don't know how likely it is because, we've not seen any inklings of anything in terms of the, Jedi anything series.
The only glimmer of hope that we have for that is
Iden.
Battlefront. Yeah.
Iden Versio we've seen. So we're probably getting, is it Inferno Squad? Is that what they're called?
Inferno Squad, yeah.
We'll probably get them. If that then means that they're allowed other video game IPs from Star Wars, I'd love some Fallen Order and Survivor content.
Yeah,
whereas Ahsoka, we know we're getting melee clones. We've had the Wolfpack's card as long as we've had Kenobi's. and they are melee clones. We just don't have their stance yet.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, he probably does go there. For me, I was like, is he bottom end of B? But he's just not very good, is he? Right now.
He plays second fiddle to the next guy.
Oh, absolutely. Darth Vader, Jedi Hunter. 7-4. Obviously multi-era as well. Unique, Quinn, in that whilst he doesn't share an alias or whatever it is, character name with Anakin Skywalker, he cannot be included in a strike team with Anakin Skywalker. I mean, I haven't watched the movie, so I'm not entirely sure why that would be. But
I think Darth Vader like kills him, so they're like, oh, you can't really have him because by the time Darth Vader's doing stuff, Anakin's already dead or something. Something
Makes
like
sense.
that, I think.
Makes sense. Yeah, Obi-Wan did say that Anakin killed his father. That Darth Vader killed Anakin.
Have you seen like a trailer for that?
I've seen like a TikTok.
Yeah,
I saw a TikTok. Yeah, of Alec Guinness. Yeah.
from his official account.
Yeah. So yeah, Darth Vader, Jedi Hunter, as we mentioned, 7-4. This guy likes murdering things, Quinn, doesn't he? Quite a lot.
Just a bit, yeah.
Vader's Fury, cost 1. Each character in this unit may advance during the next attack made by a character in this unit. During this activation, after all dice rolls have been modified, add 2 damage to the damage pool. Just get 2 damage for free. Yeah. There you go.
You were already going to pay a force for the move. You just get this on top.
Yeah. Riposte. It's riposte. We already know what it does. Sith Lord Strikes Back. This works in the exact same way as Maul, but it's on steroids. Why? Because it's any attack. So not just a melee attack. If you wound him with a range attack, it also works on that one as well. If you shoot him
and you're within grabbing distance after a job, you're having a bad day.
If you're stupid enough to shoot him within range 3.
Important to note that it does cost force. Yes, it looks like a free reactive ability, but it's a reactive ability. He can only use it when he's been wounded, therefore has to cost force.
Yeah, because the wounded token is already on him. So that's one difference, actually, isn't it, with Maul? Because his is innate. Look, it's fine. You're always going to do it. Like, you're always going to do it, but or mostly going to do it. Your hatred makes you powerful. When an allied character makes a melee attack as part of a combat action, after choosing a target, the attacking character may suffer 2. If it does, the attacker adds 3 dice to the attack roll. We spoke about how Obi-Wan lost Jedi No More thing, whatever it is, in hiding. Really, really messes with Darth Vader.
Specifically.
Yeah, this is the reason why.
And Vader's Fury, right?
And Vader's Fury, yeah. This is... I really like this identity, Quinn. Especially on characters that have self-heal from their tree.
I think this identity could do with a tweak, because it is... it's obscenely good.
It's really, really good.
I think with the way that dice maths works in this game, this would be a fine ability in MCP.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Not so much in this game, because dice are more valuable in this game than they are in MCP. Because
there are some dice that can't be blocked.
Some dice that can't be blocked, but also dice are at more of a premium because you have no exploding crits.
Yeah.
The amount of results you can get is tied directly to the amount of dice you are rolling, and potentially if you've got an expertise that is like slightly boosted above. Like, you're not getting a 5 dice attack that does like 10 results. That's just not a thing in this.
Well, it's impossible, right? You just can't do it.
Yeah. Whereas in MCP it obviously is, and I feel like that works for MCP. In this, I'd like it to be 2 damage for 2 dice, because 2 dice will most likely net you more than 2 damage that you're taking yourself. Because it will get you a result that potentially gives you damage, or another effect potentially gets you 2 more results. Either that, or I'd like some sort of tag requirement on this. I don't like it being for everyone.
The
Like,
problem is, what do you tag? Is it
you
Force
tag.
user?
No, you tag
Is
Empire.
it?
And that
And then
doesn't
he's
work at the
useless in.
moment.
Yeah,
Doesn't
then
work at
he's
the moment
useless in
because there's not
Galactic
many.
Republic. But
He
then he's
shouldn't be
also
in Galactic
useless
Republic.
in. I mean, is it Galactic Empire or Inquisitorius?
It's Empire, I think, because you're gonna have Vader's fist in the game at some point. They
No, no,
are,
no. But my point. No, but I mean, is it not both? Because the idea of this version of Vader is he is the ultimate leader of the Inquisitors, right?
you don't need it to be both because all the Inquisitorius characters are Galactic Empire.
Oh, they are, aren't they? Yes, of
Yeah,
course they are.
like so
Yeah.
that's not like for one, Vader should not be Republic. I know I've said this many times, but Palpatine's already given his new Galactic Empire speech by the time he's in the silly suit.
Yeah.
Like, he should not, in any way, shape, or form, be affiliated with the Republic. So there's no real argument to be like, oh, he loses Republic synergy if his identity doesn't work for them. He shouldn't have Republic synergy in the first place.
He should have it anyway. No,
The
absolutely.
reason he's got it
Absolutely.
is because when he's been released. If they were releasing him at a normal time in the game's lifespan, then he would not have the Galactic Republic tag. Because there would be enough Empire stuff out already for him to be like reasonably included with just those tags.
I think for me, one of the reasons that he is so good is because of that Galactic Republic tag right now.
Yeah,
I just think it's too good.
It's absolute bullshit.
Yeah, it's too good. 12-3 as well. He's a tanky boy. So yeah, let's have a quick look at his stance cards. Dark Rage. I mean, as you'd imagine. I mean, let's just talk about one expertise for 2 crits a second.
Yeah, it's real good.
Also, access to a lot of pushers on there as well, and the dash, which is is nice. And then his other card. There's something on here, Quinn, I want to talk about. Form 5 Gemso. Now, it's got a climb on here, which, because of the order in which you resolve things, if he is in melee, it is impossible to use that option to use his climb, because by the time you use the melee, unless you've pushed them out of being engaged with you,
they're not dead yet.
They're not dead yet because you don't apply damage until you've done all of the active abilities across the top. Climb was weird. Like, I get that he's not mobile, but like, yeah, it was a weird choice. Like, I get it, I get it on his throne lightsaber. Like, that's fine. But
yeah, also it's just weird to have I can't really conjure an image of Vader climbing.
No, but all jumping.
Well, what he does is he uses the Force to lift himself with the thing he's standing on. That's what he does in terms of how he changes elevation. Yeah. And I guess you represent that with a climb, but equally, it's just really weird from rules and there's a clash of rules and theme going on there.
Yeah, I don't like the climb. I mean, I don't think it should be a jump either, but I don't like the climb. Yeah. Where does Vader go, Quinn? Where does Vader go?
He goes, at the moment, just below Anakin. And the reason why is I think Anakin has more impact on a game because of his identity. As good as Vader's identity is, you end up building some very weird strike teams if you want to get the most out of it. And I don't know how good that is overall. There are some things in it that are terrifying, like Mandalorian Super Commandos with Vader is really spooky, but there are ways around it. And it's, once again, it's one of those things of, a bit like Dooku. If you figure him out, you're not as, terrified of him. Whereas, I think Anakin is just consistently good.
Yeah, I think the ceiling for Vader is huge. As soon as Galactic Empire come out.
Yeah, once the Empire start being a proper thing and there starts being real synergy there, he definitely goes up in the rankings. Yeah. But at the moment, I think because they're both Republic, but Anakin does more for Republic whilst being, I think, individually better himself than Vader does. Vader's identity, great for Republic, getting extra dice and stuff, but you cannot underestimate how impactful killing someone, gaining a momentum, then moving the struggle tracker is.
Yeah. I also think it's worth saying I would have probably put Vader a little bit lower down.
Really?
However, with the release of ARF Troopers and Pons, a little bit like we said with Anakin, it does raise his stock a little bit because he's not reliant on taking.
Forward. Anakin gets bumped forward to the point where he's closer to Dooku. Vader surpasses the two Dathomirians.
Because I actually think that they're both maybe a couple of spots down on that A tier before Mace Windu's box. And I think we're going to see that a lot, especially in the early days of the game, where, quite often, the first 5, 6, 7 packs that get released, they're only able to play with themselves everything that comes in the box and maybe one other combination. But whereas the more they get released, the more options you've got, right? So, yeah. Okay, Quinn, next up is the man with all the lightsabers, but with no force, General Grievous. Beautiful model, by the way. Like, let's be honest, all of these are amazing sculpts from AMG. Like, for the most part, they've done a really good job with them.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually going to say when we got to the Grand Inquisitor, but I kind of forgot because we got caught up in like the other stuff relating to him. He's probably my second favorite model in the game in terms of like the actual physical miniature. I really like him.
I said today I've really enjoyed painting up these two at the moment. Like, I don't know what it is about Luminara, but like just the pose, she's almost like this graceful pose that she's got. I quite like it. But General Grievous, Quinn, 8 squad points, brings 3 force, even though he's not attached to the force, as we discussed way back, Quinn. They describe the force points, don't they, as being like the force is a living thing that surrounds you, and as a primary, you're always going to bring it, whether you're a force user or not, right? So even though he's not a force user, he still brings force. He is 11-3, so he's a tanky boy, 33 health in total. Onward, who's got a tactic as well. At the start of this unit's activation, choose another allied battle droid character within 4. Chosen character may dash. It's okay.
Question, Richard. Question.
Go on.
Why does it say another?
Well, because he's not a battle droid. He's a droid. But he's not a droid, is he?
So it should just choose an allied battle droid.
Yeah.
He's a cyborg.
He
feels like at one point in development he had the battle droid tag.
He shouldn't even be a droid.
No, he should be a cyborg.
I'm going to love the synergy that we get at some point with C-3PO and R2-D2, and it just so happens to trigger Grievous somehow. He should be a cyborg. It's fine, Quinn. Like, it's not the best. It's fine. It's free. It's always free.
I've got some tricks with it, but yeah.
Yeah, there's some nice little things you can do. Rage 4's nice.
It's probably one of the worst, worst tactics in the game. It's a little, it's a little something they sprinkled on top when he came out the oven.
It is, yeah. First active ability, Scuttle. Characters in this unit have scale until the end of the turn. One character in this unit may advance. Even if you use an advance, if you do use the scale, which means that you can always climb, when you're using an advance or a dash, you still only get to use the short tool because you're making a climb. That's just the way that it works. I have been trained in your Jedi arts. Cost 2 Quinn reactive ability. After a melee attack made by this character in this unit is resolved, this unit may use this ability. Each enemy unit that has 1 or more characters engaged with the attacker, except the defending unit, suffers 2 damage. Important couple of caveats here. If you've got 2 Mandalorians engaged with him, that are 2 Mandalorian super commandos, they don't each take 2. It's just 1 for the unit. It can be a really nice way of taking a point by just doing that extra little bit of damage you need to do to do it.
It's very much an opportunistic ability. I don't think you go into something planning to do this, but you're like, oh, I'm attacking this character. There happens to be someone who's quite low near them anyway. I'll go and finish them off while I'm at it. I really like using this to kill a Maul. because you're killing him effectively in melee, but he doesn't get to do his clapback.
That is true. Yeah. What is nice though, Quinn, is there is a little bit of synergy with Appetite for Destruction, isn't it? Because they have the same timing on them, and because Appetite is innate, whereas I Have Been Trained is reactive, you get to do them both. So after this unit makes a combat action, choose an allied battle droid supporting character within 3. The chosen character may dash. Then that character may make a 5 dice attack targeting one of the same enemy characters within range and line of sight. So there is a little bit of synergy there where you can use it to finish off things. But I like that this is innate. Like, you just always get to do it and it's free. It's kind of like reverse Rex in a way.
Yeah, like it's just a free Kalani, right?
Yeah. But the fact that it's a dash as well, like, I do like the dash.
Yeah, the little dash. I like using this as like an early activation on Grievous to just like spread out points where the Magna Guard is dragged along with him with onward protection protocols, then moves on to a point with Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. And then lastly, his identity, another fine addition to my collection. When a character in this unit wounds an enemy unit, after the effect is resolved, this character may heal 2. Then, if the wounded unit was a Force user, refresh 2 Force. Very much in line with that Separatist refresh Force ability. Because again, he's got a lot of things, that he wants to spend Force on. And then Droid Separatist Alliance. It's a nice set of things that he's got.
Yeah,
very much, very much attrition based.
I think the big thing with Grievous is his actual stats card. For one, he's currently the only primary in the game that has access to a range 5 attack.
Yep.
Because he pulls out a Glock and shoots you.
Yep, he does. So in his, I forget the name of it now, Cunning Warlord. And it's 7 dice, right?
7 dice, range 5, decent expertise.
So it's
pretty happy with it.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But really, Quinn, where you want Grievous is in his quad arm attack. 3 results, 9 damage.
7 damage, Jesus Christ.
Oh, so 7 damage, yeah, dearie me.
9?
Yeah, sorry, 7. 7 damage. Going up to 11 if he gets to the end of his tree, plus his lightsabers.
Yeah, capping out at 13 total with a single swing is very tasty.
Yeah, it's really, really good. This guy can do some serious damage, but he's got a little bit of, support type stuff around him and things. But
yeah, he's a nice hybrid.
Yeah, but he is primarily wanting to kill people. Where for me, Quinn, where he really, really falls down is once you go into that quad arm attack, he is very, very easy to take down.
I agree and disagree. I think people look at the 4 dice and go, "Oh my god, that's awful." Whirling Blades is actually very good expertise for what it does.
Oh, one for 1, 2 for 2.
On 4 dice, that you're averaging probably 3 or 4 blocks there on average, I reckon.
I still think 4/4 is bad.
4/4 is bad. If you've got Magna Guard next to you, suddenly that becomes 5/4. And also, he's got the ability to drag a Magna Guard around with him to take those hits for him.
So that's the way you need to play him, isn't it? He's reliant on bringing those Magna Guards, I think. You need a Magna Guard in there to either give him the extra dice from cover, or so you just can't attack him, right? Because if the Magna Guard are in the right position, you can't attack him in melee if you're engaged with the Magna Guard as well. For me, Quinn, whilst his damage output is huge, I do think he is let down with his defensive abilities quite a bit, especially on the quad arm attack. For me, I think he is perfectly serviceable. I think he is absolutely fine. He's a nice alternative in the Separatists, and he lets you bring kind of the optimal combination of droids with you.
He lets you get the most out of activation attacks with the B2s.
Yeah.
Because you take him, Kalani, Kraken.
But for me, I think perfectly fine B tier. I think is where he sits.
See, I'd argue for him to go higher just because of what he brings to the Separatists, which is he's a really good hunter. Like, Dooku has that more defensive side to him. He stands at the point, he dares people to come at him. Ventress, he's also a bit of a hunter, but, she is a bit more fragile, arguably, I think. Just because she's not got that raw health. She also isn't bringing those Magna Guards along with her anywhere near as far.
4/4 though, Quinn, on that quad arm attack, which is where you want to be.
Really doesn't matter. I've played a lot of games with Grievous, and it does not matter in the slightest. Also, that range 5 gun doing the little Gar Saxon trick to people can just really set you up for success. I personally would put him just above Ventress, but
no.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
He is just above Ventress in the Separatist list.
No.
Yeah.
I think Ventress does so much more.
She doesn't. Like,
Grievous
she
really does.
Grievous is the man. Also, he gets bonus points for having the best model in the game.
He does have a very good model in the game. Yes.
It's the best one.
I will grant him the rank of A.
You'll grant him a seat on A tier.
But he can't go above Ventress for me. I actually want to re-look at this A tier ever so quickly, Quinn.
God.
Because I'm not sure Maul is ahead of either Ventress or Grievous.
I think Maul is ahead for now because of how, he can be applied anywhere. However, the more releases there are... Maul will depreciate in value, as we've said, and therefore will probably end up below Ventress and Grievous at some point in time, but at this exact moment in time, not so much.
Okay. So I'll grant him that, but he doesn't go above my girl.
Oh, it's okay to be wrong. I mean,
I know.
Who am I to state my opinions? But, the highest ranked Shatterpoint player in the world.
Stop bullying me with your rank.
No, I'm not going to stop. Also, for any of you that don't understand that, I'm being sarcastic.
Next up, Quinn, is Mother Talzin, obviously leader of the Dathomirian faction, if we're calling it a faction. Cost 8, brings 3. First thing of note, Quinn, is I'd have really liked it to be a 7/4.
Yeah,
I'd have really liked that extra
more...
1.
For someone who Palpatine saw as an equal, I feel like that is a lot more fitting.
Yes.
She was initially who he wanted to rule the galaxy beside.
Yeah, and I think they could have very easily done it with the Night Sisters and toned them down a little bit. Yeah. Made them equivalent to the ARF Troopers. There we go. There's a 3 cost for you. But yeah, anyway, she is what she is. No, I'm not. I have played. If you guys have seen, I've played a lot of Mother Talzin. Really, really like this character. But again, just because I really love a character doesn't necessarily mean that she's the best character in the game.
I mean, look at Luminara. We can tell Rich has poor taste in women.
Exactly. And co-host. Sorry, collaborators.
There we go. Thank you for using my official title.
So first up, a tactic obscuring shadows. At the start of this unit's activation, choose another allied Dathomirian unit. One character in the chosen unit may dash. It's all right, Quinn. I'd have maybe liked this to have been both characters can dash, or maybe a jump, or something a little bit nicer.
I think there's one thing that would really make this so much better. And
she gets to move as well.
Or she can just choose herself. Even that would be enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that is fair. Her only active ability, manipulating a hand, choose an enemy character within range 4. The chosen character dashes. You resolve this move. This is really nice when it is applicable. It is not something you are just going to use. I would say it's not something you're going to use to just score 1 additional point in the middle of a struggle either. 2 force is a lot. Even if you're taking Maul, even if you're taking Asajj, 2 force is still a lot. Yeah. She's going to be bringing along characters that want to use a lot of force with her. And yeah, unless this is going to win you a struggle, I would win you a struggle or wound a character that has implications, then yeah, I'm not. Whilst I like it, it's very, very niche. What is really good, however, is life drain. After an allied Dathomirian character makes an attack, if the defender suffered 1 or more damage, this unit may use this ability. That allied Dathomirian may recover 1. My only gripe with this, Quinn, is that this should have either been her identity or it should be an innate ability. Because as soon as she goes down and this costs
You're never
1,
using it again.
it feels really bad. It feels really bad. And then rounding it out, her identity, Wrath of the Great Mother. Once per turn, when an enemy character wounds another allied unit, after the effect is resolved, one character in this unit may dash and then make a 5 dice ranged attack targeting that enemy character. You've seen how impactful this can be, Quinn, because whilst the attack has to be targeting the enemy character, the dash doesn't have to be towards. And it's this that actually won me the game against Ron in our latest event. But I really like this. Even just the dash alone can be really good with the right setup.
Well, I found like a few ways to shut it down. Like if you get a pin on her and she's engaged, it does nothing. And like with what I tend to play, like that's relatively easy to engineer. Yeah, like it's still quite good. It rolls that 5 dice attack rolls an abnormal amount of crits. It's always two crits.
Crazy, isn't it? It's always 2
like,
crits.
It's
always
silly.
2. She's Dathomirian, she's Force user, she's a Night Sister, as we've already said, and she's 10-3. Let's have a quick look at her stance cards. There's one that you probably want to stay in most of the time, and that is Great Mother. So it's the one that's ranged focused. Our first real primary that is ranged focus, Quinn. She can do some damage up close and personal, but she very much is ranged focus. And she does some work. Like 6 damage off 3 results is not to be sniffed at. And, you know, because you're obviously pairing her with the Night Sisters, 9 times out of 10, you're getting that expose on them as well. So it just ups her output so much, doesn't it, with the characters around her. Quick look at her other stance, which I always forget the name of it, is Wrath. I mean, it's fine. It is better defensively, but...
No, it's not.
No, she's got more dice manipulation on this side.
No, it's identical, isn't it?
Is it identical? It is identical, yes.
She gets less defense dice as well.
She gets less ranged, but she gets more physical. Sorry, more melee.
The difference in them is -2 +1.
+1, yeah. So
not as good.
Unless you're specifically looking at doing something like triggering that active ability, which she doesn't get to do on the Great Mother, then yeah, Great Mother is where you sit really.
I mean, with the help of a Mandalorian, she can put out 13 damage on this side.
She can.
Because
she can indeed.
She's got 7 off a tree.
Yeah.
1 off her expertise rate. She can give someone strain before triggering manipulating hand, which then they move so they take 3 damage from strain. And if there's a friendly Mandalorian nearby that has no mercy and they're moving out of range, no, like there's something there.
There is. There absolutely is.
Not a great deal of something, but it is something.
There is something there. For me, Quinn, you know I love this character. But
I know. I'm going to be here to like temper whatever the hell you throw.
She's B tier. She's B tier. She
acceptable.
Is perfectly serviceable. She does a job. I'd have loved her to be a 7-4, but she's not. Yeah. But yeah, there we go. Rounding it out then, Quinn. Our latest, and we have just broke him down on the latest episode of Duwanawanga, so we're not going to go into a great detail of him here, but Mace Windu, Jedi Master Mace Windu, 6'4". Yeah, 6'4". I didn't think we were ever going to get, maybe outside of Yoda and Palpatine, a 6. But
Yoda, Palpatine, or the Vader, I think, were the sixes that we could have gone. But
yeah,
Mace makes sense.
I mean, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. 11-3 stat line is nice. Force user, Galactic Republic, Jedi. Rush to action tactic, it's pretty decent. Tempered aggression can be really nice. The fact that, again, one of only 2 characters with access to rerolls. The Shatterpoint thing is just crazy if you can get it off. Like, giving Galactic Republic Force Refresh Quinn is silly.
It's real good.
It's silly. The fact that he
silly.
comes, the fact that he comes in a
Troopers
box
are silly. Force Refresher Republic, not silly.
Let's not forget as well. This part is over, right? This character, while a character in this unit is engaged, Galactic Republic characters within 5, including him, have steadfast and protection. Like, yeah, there are some characters that already have steadfast if they got hunker and things, but just protection all around within 5. Just giving it on him, Quinn, is absolutely crazy. Quick look at his stance card. Jedi Master. I mean, that aggressive defense, Quinn, for his defense on there. Yes, he's only 666, but like, it's just daft. His attack expertise scales quite nicely as well.
It's a little on the low end.
It's not the best, but I mean, again, we have to take into consideration that you have to temper a character somewhere. Form 7 Varpad. How'd you say it, Quinn?
Vapard.
Vapard.
Which is wrong, but I don't care. It sounds better.
I mean, this is where the damage is at, right? Like,
oh yeah,
it's
caps
really,
out
really
at
good.
11. Can do 8 with every condition in the game.
Yeah. Now we do have to balance all of that, Quinn, with the fact that there is only a single secondary unit you can take at the moment with him. He's an okay secondary unit, but he's nothing special. You've got a choice of 2 supports in faction you can take. I mean, you've only really got a choice of 1 because you're never taking 501st with him when ARF troopers exist.
No.
He's very good. And I think because ARF troopers are so good, it makes him feel even better and less like a 6. It doesn't feel like there's a downside to him being 6.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I mentioned this in Dawadawonga, like, the most egregious thing the ARF troopers do is make Mace feel like a 7 instead of a 6.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, he is so good. Like, I love him mechanically and thematically with what he does.
Yeah, they've nailed him as a character as well, haven't they? Is he good enough to join the ranks?
To join Obi-Wan.
Of Obi-Wan. He isn't better than Obi-Wan.
No.
He's nowhere. He's not nowhere near as wrong, but he's not.
As someone who loves Obi-Wan as a character, I'm okay with this, by the way.
So I tell you where I'm thinking. I'm thinking there's 3 spots for him where
I'm
he
going
could
to eliminate
potentially
one
go.
of them. He is not worse than Dooku's not better than him.
Okay.
So that spot
So
is
he's
gone.
either here or he's here. And
Yeah.
I think he's probably there.
I think if the ARF troopers were not like the absolute hellspawn that they are in terms of game balance, he would be just in front of Dooku on the
Agree.
Because, being 6 would actually matter. Because
it feels like there's no tax for him being 6, though. That's the problem.
He might as well be 7.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? He should have been 7, and they should have made ARF troopers 4. If they were going to make them that good. Like, give them 1 extra damage or something on one of their, But yeah.
I don't know what you remove from Mace in order to make that, like, work. Maybe it's just, like, a stamina, honestly. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in his in his Shatterpoint thing. You drop it a little bit here or there or
Like maybe
something.
it's
Like,
recover 2 and only impact 1, something like
yeah,
that.
something like that. Yeah. But yeah, there we go, guys. Quinn, this is really, really interesting to me because I didn't think it was going to go like this. And I think this is very, very telling that right now there's a plethora of very, very good leaders in the game. And then you've got a handful that are just way behind them at the moment.
Yeah.
And very little in between. Now, don't get me wrong, some of these could drop down, some can go up, right? You know, a tweak to Luminara, a release for Ahsoka, you know, less viability for Maul, so on and so forth. And things could start dropping into that B tier. But it's really, really strange to have a real void in the middle. But I think it's fair. You know, there's a couple there that we disagree on, but I don't think we're not talking about the difference between an S and a C, are we, or something like that. It's like, where along A tier are they? Where along, C tier are they?
Still think Grazer should be above Asajj, but some people
but
are just wrong.
again, right? We're talking about moving up a percentile within the A tier.
Yeah.
We're not talking about him, being a C versus an A or something like that. And yeah, it's going to be. What I don't want to happen is the next 5 releases fill this B tier up.
Yeah, because that feels boring, right?
Because that feels really, really boring.
So I think it's actually probably intentional that, like, obviously AMG probably don't have their own tier, like, list that they build for their own characters. But I think from a design perspective, because Star Wars is what Star Wars is, and Shatterpoint is designed the way that Shatterpoint is designed, the primaries are the big characters.
Yeah.
You want them to feel really good and really impactful because they aren't like the no-name mooks. They are just,
No, but we are comparing primaries against each other, though.
I know, but I think just the standard of a primary is higher overall, and therefore they just get shifted up that a little bit. I think.
I also think, look at who they've released so far. Right?
They've released a lot of big hitters.
They are the well-known, Obi and Anakin, right?
Obi-Wan,
probably the two best-known Jedi. Maybe Yoda pips them. Maybe Yoda pips them.
I don't think he does.
But they're up there, right? Maul. Maul is one of the most beloved characters from. He's
also
anything.
one of the best written characters in Star Wars.
Yeah, but they are all big hitters, right? Yes, they've dropped the ball with a couple of them there, right? Ahsoka, Luminara. I would argue Ahsoka is a beloved character, but less so than the others.
She also makes up for it for the fact that you've got Padawan Ahsoka, who I think is a more iconic version of Ahsoka.
100%.
Who is, just better.
So I'm actually thinking about it, like, it might be okay if the rest, if Cad Bane comes out and he's B, but what he brings with his bounty hunters.
When you're talking about beloved characters,
I know,
like,
Cad Bane
is up there, man. Like Padme can be in B. Padme can be in B for brave.
Oh, I'm brave. But yeah, there we go, guys. Let us know down in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? It's weird that that there is, they are the 8 primaries that you're going to see in most places.
Yeah,
they just are. Unless you want to specifically play something like Inquisitors or Dathomirian. But you can play Dathomirian without using Talzin as well. So there you go.
But you can.
No, she's awesome. Let us know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are we completely off the mark? I don't think we are. I think it's fair. It'll be interesting to review this in 12 months' time, which is probably when we'll do it, because I think
I think we
things
should do
will
it
change.
at the 6-month mark. To be honest,
Yeah,
I think
maybe, maybe.
you probably double the amount of like units in
Oh
each
god,
category by
yeah,
that point, and
absolutely.
I think it's
Well,
worth.
because we get a primary with every release, it's not like MCP where every 20th release is a leader, right?
Yeah.
You're always getting more of them. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Let us know where you would put people. A big shout out to the guys at Loyalist Games for supporting the channel. There's a link down in the description below with a £5 off your first order. They're a great gaming club. Or gaming shop even and club over here in the UK. Big shout out to everyone on Patreon for supporting us. It really does help us continue to make this content. And if you want to support us on Patreon, you can do for as little as £1 a month. But you don't have to support us on Patreon to support the channel. Just interact with the video, leave a like, make sure you've hit that subscribe button. It all really helps.
You can also just send me money directly. I will
just
accept.
send Quinn money. Yeah, he will accept. And bribes as well. If you want your favourite character moving up,
if
bribe
you
Quinn.
want me to be like a Luminara shield, send me enough money, I'll do it.
But yeah, guys, as always, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, may the Force be with you.